Hi friends, welcome to your Monticello garden. As you can see, it's still growing, still thriving, even though we have not been able to have students in here in a long time, which is really sad. The good news is a lot of these plants are still growing, still producing, still waiting for you to come back. Especially this asparagus. If you were here this spring, maybe you remember eating some delicious asparagus. It's less delicious now. It's more like a little Christmas tree or something. You who don't know me, my name is Julia. I'm one of the people who helps take care of this garden and helps run the garden club here. My pronouns are they and them, and my favorite vegetable are beans, and you can probably tell that if you come in here because there's beans planted everywhere. So looking forward to seeing you when I see you. All right, we'll do just a little tiny tour around here, and you can see some of the annual veggies that we planted this year. And if you haven't been in here for a while, you'll notice it's pretty different. We put down this gravel and big concrete pad so that the bindweed won't come in here. You might notice as we look at each of these beds, they've got a lot of different plants in each kind of them. Some people like to plant their garden beds to sort of look like this area right here. This is just a big patch of carrots. And some people like to garden, you know, they would just fill one of these tanks with nothing but carrots, keep all their carrots in one place so they can kind of keep track of them. And I do that sometimes, but something I've been trying to do more is to sort of emulate more or imitate what nature would sort of look like. If you think about like a forest or something like that, there aren't usually just big patches of the same type of plant. They're all kind of mixed together and they're different heights. They grow in different ways. So I've been trying to do that in these garden beds. I'm sort of trying to plant some things that grow kind of deep into the ground. Like these are some beets. Their root is actually starting to stick out already, but you know, generally they would grow down into the ground, whereas something like basil or this pepper plant will grow kind of vertically tall. So they're kind of occupying different spaces and they're using the soil in different ways. And then I've also been trying to plant, you know, a flower on the end, and these are called zinnias, and as far as I know they're not edible for us, but it does help to sort of draw in pollinators like bees so they can help, you know, they'll be like, all right, there's some nice pink flowers, and then while they were at it, they pollinated that pepper flower, and now there's a fruit forming there. So yeah, it's just a strategy I'm trying out, and I definitely did not come up with that strategy. Lots of really skilled farmers have been using these sort of techniques for thousands of years, especially indigenous farmers from North America and all over the world, always trying to find ways to emulate nature and to work with nature instead of trying to control it. So yeah, I'm trying to take a leaf out of that book this year. So it also, I think, makes the garden beds look a little more exciting. So just having one thing in each bed, got a few different things. But yeah, we've still got a lot of food growing in here. I'm gonna keep harvesting it as long as I can and bringing it mostly to the FCRC food pantry. And other places that are getting food to people who need it. Hello garden friends, I'm Farmer Hillary, and I'm one of the adults that helps with this garden here at Monticello. And I just wanted to show you a quick weeding tutorial. So there's this lovely bed of brassicas, which is the family that broccoli, cabbage, kale, all of those plants are in the brassica family. And there's also some plants in here that we don't actually want to have growing. So if we kind of look in here, we can sort of see these are the brassicas, right? We can kind of recognize that those are things that are there on purpose. But then if we look down in here too, there's some of these plants. Some of you might recognize them. They are dandelions. Ooh, there's some creatures down there. So I don't have a tool with me, and usually we always pull weeds with tools, but I'm gonna try it out without one.
I'm gonna reach down in here as far as I can and kind of wiggle it.
Ooh.
Wow. That's a pretty happy dandelion. And actually, dandelions can do some good things for our soil. Because they have such a long and deep taproot, that's what this is called, the taproot, and then there's more roots kind of off the sides. The deep taproot actually brings up nutrients from deep in the soil and brings it so that they're more accessible for other plants. So dandelions can actually help us. And also, many of you probably know about the beautiful yellow flowers they have, and those are especially good for our winged friends. So our bees of all different kinds, the pollinators really like those dandelion flowers. So that's all for now.
One of my favorite things about the Monticello garden, it makes it really unique as far as the rest of the school gardens go, is it's one of the oldest ones. It's actually the oldest middle school garden in Longview and Kelso. And because of that, its fruit trees are really beautiful and nice and mature and established. And we get more fruit here than almost any of the other schools. So I was going to show you really quick using this Akane apple tree to demonstrate how to tell if an apple is ripe and if it's ready to pick. So if you've ever eaten an apple right off of a tree and it's a little bit green still, not just the color, but I mean like if it's not quite ripe yet, you'll know it's like pretty sour and yeah, almost too tart. But one way to avoid just picking an apple and taking a bite and then finding out it's not ready yet is if you just gently take the apple and spin it a quarter turn. And then if it pops off, then it is ready. So the stem will just break off if it's ready to go. So this one, I can tell was ready also because a bird knew it was ready. But yeah, you saw I did it a quarter turn and that stem just topped right off. Maybe I'll take this home and wash it really well and just cut out that part that a bird helped themselves to. Still quite a bit of apple that's still good food. I wanted to show y'all a few herbs that grow around here. Herbs are some of my favorite plants because they grow year after year, so they're called like a perennial plant, so they're almost more like a fruit tree than they are like a carrot. Where like a carrot, you plant the seed in the spring and then it grows for a season, but if you were to leave it in there for a long time, it would start to go to seed and then it would eventually rot. Where this rosemary plant has been here for probably 8 or 9 years. You can see it's almost taller than I am. And lots of people plant things like rosemary and other herbs like in their yards, or sometimes people will plant it for like landscaping in parks and stuff like that. So if you see this plant around, you can smell it, kind of rub your hands through it, and it releases a really nice smell. Another thing that kind of sets herbs apart is they have oils in their leaves, which makes them really smelly and actually a little bit sticky to the touch sometimes. And lots of, maybe you've had rosemary as a seasoning on some of your food sometimes. So people will collect this, harvest it, and let it dry out, and then you can chop it into tiny, tiny pieces and sprinkle it on stuff to flavor things. Another cool thing about rosemary is it starts to form these little blue flowers that I think are really beautiful, really delicate. And I've heard for some folks, the smell of rosemary is actually kind of energizing to them. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll pick just a little sprig of it and I'll put it in my pocket for later. And if I'm feeling kind of drowsy or something, I just have something that I can touch and smell, and it will help me kind of wake up a little bit. There's another herb over here. This is lavender, which is another herb. Maybe you've heard of it. And unlike the rosemary, it kind of has the opposite effect. It's sort of a calming smell. So this is another one that I'll give to my students often. Sometimes if they're having a hard day, or if they're feeling really amped up or nervous or anxious, I'll say, you can pick some lavender. And again, You can kind of smell it, keep it in your pocket for later, and it's just a nice reminder. We have a scrub jay who's joining us for the video too. Apparently they're not a fan of lavender, so to each their own. But yeah, keep an eye out around your town if you see lavender around. You know, you can always, you know, just touch it and smell it as you walk by and kind of have a nice little break from the day away for plants to sort of help us feel better. All right, friends, thanks for watching this little garden tour. If you've never spent time out in the garden or been a part of garden club, that's okay. And I just want to let you know that you're always welcome out here. This garden is yours. It's for all of you. And yeah, if we haven't met before, I hope that we'll cross paths sometime soon. I just wanted to introduce you to one other person. This is Sam the rabbit. And he sometimes comes and visits Monticello. He lives at North Lake most of the time. But yeah, he and I just wanted to pass along that, yeah, we're missing seeing kids out in the garden, and we're really looking forward to when we can have you out here again. So I hope you'll take care, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.